Hi, welcome to Saturday Night Sleepover with Sasha and
Woohoo!
Charlie. Here we are, Saturday night sleepover and girl talking. Welcome to this episode three. Uh, well, are we calling it episode three or are we calling it episode two?
We'll call it
Because,
episode two. It's technically
okay,
three, but episode two. Because we did an episode last week, but just not quite ready to release it yet. And so we're going to save it for a later date as a bonus episode. We'll let you know. We'll be excited to share it with you later on, but we're going to not redo. We're just going to do this episode now, episode three. And so some of the things that we talked about in our first episode, like Love is Blind, will be in that bonus episode that we will release at a later date.
yeah,
So this is episode two.
episode
How
two
are
of
you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing great. We are like Today has been a pretty chill date. This weekend has actually been one of the first chill weekends I've had in a while. I've had a lot going on at work and then with the holidays and everything. And so finally, all of the like big, tumultuous things that have been going on, I finally get a break from them. And so today I scheduled us to have massages, and I'm really
Ooh,
excited about that.
an hour massage?
Oh yeah,
A
at a
Swedish?
spa with a steam room and a relaxation room with like snacks and stuff. I'm very excited.
Is that your first time going to a spa like that?
Oh no, I
Oh,
I love going to spas, and I actually really like this one. I went to it on my birthday which is in March. So March was the last time I've been there, but um, it's I'm very excited about it.
I'm excited for you too. I've only been to that kind of a spa once and it has ruined all massages. Once you go to that kind of experience, you cannot massage any other way. I
Yes,
went once last year, or not actually this year, beginning of the year, and just like what you were saying, there was like a steam room, a spa, there was a pool. I just lounged around in a robe and ate their snacks that they had out. It was amazing.
yeah, I think that not enough emphasis is given to intentional rest in our today's culture. And so that's one of like the goals that I've had recently is to try and incorporate more intentional rest into my life because I uh, over the last year I've taken on the responsibility of being the quote unquote breadwinner for our me and my husband and our dog. Um,
Your family.
and yes, and so in that responsibility I've taken on really seriously. And so I kind of get lost in like working too much and just like saying, "Oh, it's my responsibility. I have to do it, and never take a break." But I've really tried over like the last few months to realize, like, hey, we've got to be more intentional about putting rest into our life. So that's what I've been working on recently.
Yeah, I love that thought. And I love that you said rest because for me, like everyone talks about like taking a break, and I am an advocate for taking a break in self care as well. But I tend to do my breaks as still relaxing. You can't see my air quotes, relaxing stuff. So, like a craft or watching TV. And yeah, those are good, but my brain is still being stimulated. I think that rest is having actual rest mentally and physically, where you're not stimulating your brain with, swiping through social media, which is great. Like I love doing that in the bath, but I think intentionally taking a moment to just catch your breath because there are times when I will go take a bath and I'll be on my phone, like scrolling through social media, and I get out and I still feel flustered. Like I don't feel
Yeah,
relaxed
it's
afterwards.
still activated your brain.
Hmm. So I love that. So, guys, intentional rest before the holidays because we know it's going to be nuts.
Yes, exactly. Um, I think uh, scheduling time to have a break is very important.
Mhm. Um, I'm gonna do that this week, and I'm gonna report back to you because I will like my breaks. I love to go and peruse vintage stores, thrift stores. Like it feels like a treasure hunt. I love it so much. But then I'm like running around and the excitement and it's exhilarating, which is fun, but it's still not rest. Do you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Because I come back
exactly.
tired and not refreshed.
I also think it's important to have those kinds of activities that you do that engage your brain in a fun way. It just has to be balanced, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Balance. Whereas I'm not balancing. I'm not getting the actual rest. I'm just going.
So, tell me about been going on in your life recently.
So this week, what happened? Honestly, I don't remember. It went by so incredibly fast. Oh, I got my hair done, like touched up yesterday, which, man, there is just something about getting your hair done that is so rejuvenating.
I think
Like
it's
you come out.
intentional rest.
Yeah. Well, I also did work the entire time on my phone. So
Oh,
because
I see.
because it is so relaxing for me to go get my hair done, and it's also uninterrupted. That's the hard thing with me and like with my kids is that it's hard for me to be on my phone because it's either hard for me to like start up once I've stopped or I forget. So like text messages, emails, social media, whatever it is, like I can't do it with my kids around because the stop and start is very difficult. And so when I was there, I was like, oh man, this is a great opportunity for me to look at emails that I haven't looked at in over a month and, do these things that I haven't really had the relaxation to do it. So I I
I
did
wouldn't
go.
call that relaxation. I would call that non-stimulation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it felt great, and I felt like a whole new woman. But instead of in like relaxing, I took the opportunity to get, which was nice because it has been kind of a burden on me, like weighing me down that I've had these emails for quite some time and I haven't responded to. So it was a
Hmm.
different kind of release, but it still wasn't like relaxing. It was relaxing, but not what we're talking about
Hmm.
relaxing.
Yeah, yeah,
But
intentional.
yeah, so like I took a break from emails and social media for a little bit just to recover from my surgery, like mentally and physically. And so I finally went back. I was reading my emails, and I'm a little bummed about this one that I missed. But I had to make that decision to put my needs first, and I missed an opportunity to work with DoorDash. So that was
Oh
a
no.
little, yeah, that was gut wrenching because I'm like, will they pay me in free delivery? Because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, this would be so cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd love to work with DoorDash. And so I saw that email and I was like, man, I missed it. And I feel terrible because it's very much unlike me. Because if you talk to any of the marketing managers, like I respond pretty quickly, but obviously have not. And so I was just like, dang, but oh
Well, I think
well.
it's important to take some time to focus on yourself too and not be so overstimulated because we were just talking about this like right before we started recording, that like your phone is constantly going off with messages, so you have to put it on do not disturb all the time for these kinds of things. So like to have constant stimulation in that way, it's important to like take a break from that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I knew the reason why I wouldn't look at my emails was because I knew that if something really piqued my interest, I would break my vow that I made to myself and I would take the job. And then of course that's just added stress of like creating, editing, putting together a concept, all of this other stuff, like more I'm just
Mhm.
putting on more work when I should be resting. And that's so it stinks, but it is what's best, and that's why I did that. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was yesterday.
Nice.
And yeah, oh, you know what? I went to my first estate sale.
Ooh, tell me about it.
It was smelly.
Love
um,
that for you.
I have a thing about smells. I cannot handle gross smells. Like I won't. My husband, I don't understand him because he's like, does this stink? And we'll just put it up to his nose and take a big old whiff. Like, if I have a sense that something might be smelly, immediately mouth breathing. Like, I'm not chancing it. I'm not risking it. I refuse to risk it. If I'm
Oh
throwing away
no.
garbage or taking out the garbage, I will mouth breathe 3 feet before I get there. I hate smelly stuff. If you go to my house, I will have to send a video to you. I think I have, and I stopped doing it because I was scared I'd have a fire, but I have, I think, 8 to 11 wall plugins for my
Oh my
house to smell
gosh.
good.
That
And
sounds really overwhelming.
it might be. Because my kids also like poop and pee, and so like the
Yeah.
poop diaper smell. So we have the garbage in the garage. I just don't like smells,
Mhm.
and I also don't want people to
Well,
come in my house.
you're about to have to potty train like 1.5 people right now, aren't you?
Not if I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's that. Well, because if people don't know already, Sasha has 2 kids that are really close in age, so that's why I said 1.5 people. I'm not counting one of her children as a half person.
Yeah, one is just like one just turned 2, and I don't think she's just not ready. Stasia knows exactly what it is, and she can do it. It's just the want to do. And I remember the exact same thing happened with Scarlett. Stasia got the concept a lot quicker, but when Scarlett got it, we're like, great, she understands the whole concept, but then she just wouldn't want to use the bathroom because Anastasia has gone into the bathroom without having any accidents. She understands when she has to go and that. She just was like, no, I would rather have a diaper. And I'm like, why? You,
You
I
can
don't know.
change it yourself then, ma'am.
Yeah, kids. Anyway, so the state sale was smelly. And I have been in some smelly thrift and vintage stores before, but this one was a little smelly. It was bad. Like, I was nervous at that point because my throat started hurting. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should resort back to nose breathing. But this lady was like a refined hoarder. She
Oh,
was what I feel hoarders want to be, or like she had, I want to say, truly and not exaggerating, 20 complete sets of china.
wow. That's
Complete.
pretty
And then
impressive.
it was a lot. And then she had probably 7 to 10 complete drinkware sets of crystal. And she
Oh, I
had
really
a
like
room,
that.
yeah, she had a room full of fabrics and crafts and sewing. And then
This would be a problem.
she was like she was a collector of really nice things, like really nice things. So I was excited to go. And then she had these, like, a whole section of, like, whenever she bought something, whether it was a pot, measuring cups, she got the entire set. So she had like copper measuring cups and ice, and she had 8 unopened brand new silverware sets, which someone got before I did. I
Wow.
was really bummed about that, but I went and she had a room full of books, full of
Wow.
books. And out of my eye, I spot a really old Book of Mormon, and I was like, I wonder how
Hmm.
much this is worth.
It's probably worth like a lot.
Yeah, so I grabbed 22 books because they were $1 each.
Mhm.
And I grabbed a Abraham Lincoln 2 volume set. So it was a complete set because I'm like, yeah, there's history buffs. I wonder how much this will be worth because people who like history like will pay the money. I looked it up. It could be worth between $200 and $4,000
Wow, this is like Antique Roadshow.
for real. And then I found a book. Okay, so then I just ended up getting some like older looking books, not because they were like anything, but just because they looked cool, just to like do
Are they the ones on the
like a
shelf
library
behind
wall.
you right now?
Yes, to do like a library wall eventually. And one of the
Yay!
books is 120 years old,
Holy
in
cow.
pristine. All of the books I got, so I got 22 books. 4 of them are 60 years old, and the rest of them are 80 to 120 years old.
Wow. And they
Yeah.
look like, I mean, I can't really tell very well, but they look like they're in pretty good condition.
Yeah, I felt pretty cool about it. I have a 100-year-old Mark Twain book, so I'm just like,
They're
what's up?
basically like cooler than everybody now.
I definitely feel like it.
But you've always have been. So,
Have you been to an estate sale?
no, I've never been to an estate sale, but I've been to plenty of pawn shops. Actually, you know what? I have been to an estate sale, but it was in a trailer park, so I don't really count because it was not a good one. Not I'm not making any inferences to people in trailer parks. It was just very crowded and not a lot of good stuff.
Honestly, most estate sales are like that. When I've looked at pictures. But what do you look for when you go to pawn shops?
Well, my husband always likes to go to pawn shops to look for like good deals on guns, but I always like to go, and I have a problem with glass and things that hold uh like
Other things?
pictures. Yeah.
Oh.
Like I like bottles and pictures and stuff like that. That stuff like that really catches my eye. And I've had this. So my mom, growing up, she would always have like Native American pottery was like what she decorated with, and so I always thought it was so weird. But then I started like going into stores and I like started liking the different kinds of patterns and stuff. And I was like, oh no, I'm like turning into my mother. So like it's like a gradual, like when I was younger, I thought it was weird, but now I'm starting to think it's cool. And I'm like, oh no, it's happening to me. How else am I turning into my mother?
That's I feel the same exact way. I feel the same exact way. I'm over here like waiting to go to the estate sale. I'm like, look, honey, I can't wait to go to this estate sale. And 20-year-old me would be like, what is an estate sale?
Yeah. Um, I've been meaning to bring this up in a podcast episode, but it's I think it's of worth noting that the first episode that we recorded, I think that was the first time we've spoken on the phone in probably 10 years.
It was. And I'm trying to get like back in this mindset of like being on the phone, less podcast, because I really loved how that felt. Because
Mhm.
that felt like us catching up after a long day and less podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah. That I was totally thinking about that. How we had, because it reminded me, because you were like 20-year-old me, and then I was like thinking about 20-year-old Sasha, and I was like, that was probably the last time that I called Sasha on the phone. Um, but it's just like kind of, I think it's worth noting that we didn't talk to each other on the phone for like 10 years, and then we like popped up and recorded a podcast and like in a phone call like format, and everything was totally just like seamlessly natural feeling. I think that that is a rare quality, and I'm excited that we have it.
Me too. I think I completely agree. And in that first episode, I feel like we were just more excited to talk to each other than
Hmm.
because we hadn't done any of this stuff yet. Like we didn't have an Instagram, we didn't have at like all of the little things that you do to make a podcast. And so I feel like the excitement plus it truly just felt like us talking. But now that we've done a lot more of the logistics and I think also like the nerves. Like I think
Yeah.
now I'm just more nervous. And so I got to shake off the nerves. And I think that will, once I feel like I'm gotten used to this podcasting and knowing that people are hearing my innermost thoughts, that I will get back to that kind of a feel.
Yeah. I think that's really um like a pretty good description of how I feel as well, because I sent a clip to another friend on like text message, and she was like, "You sound so nervous," and I was like, "I am a little nervous. People are listening."
I'm so nervous because this is why we have it. It's called Saturday Night Sleepover because those are when you have like the most beautiful, wonderful, in depth bonding conversations. It's almost
Hmm.
sacred in a way, like this really sacred girl talk. And then knowing that other people are listening to this very vulnerable girl talk is a little nerve wracking. But I think because we haven't had any like feedback or comments. Once we get comments that are saying like, you're so awesome. And if there are negative ones, I'm just not going to rate them and just be like, they love us and shake
Well,
off the nerves.
I think the way that you compartmentalize negative comments is you're just like, uh, they can't be talking bad about this because it's like I have to defend it. And so if you just like take them as they're talking bad about me, and then you'll just defend me, and it'll be fine.
That's exactly what yes. Because if I take it on as like them attacking me, I will absolutely shrink and cry. Like it does not take much. But if someone's attacking you, I will find out what their job is and I will just call them and just do the thing that Rachel Green did, which is like, wiener to the
Wiener.
doctor. Wiener. I'll just call them at work and just be like, troll.
No, I think you should say wiener.
Wiener.
Okay, so this reminded me of something that happened the other day. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and me and Colton have been on a binge watching of Survivor, like not even new Survivor, just old Survivor. Because if you watch the old ones, then you don't have to wait. You could just like see what happens. So we started in 2010. I've never watched Survivor before because I grew up with a religious extremist that wouldn't let me watch it because they were worshiping idols.
How did you come out so cool?
I have no idea, man. It was hard work, I guess. I was real weird at first. I'm still real weird. I have to hide it real well. Anyway, so we've been watching Survivor, and so it was like 10 o'clock at night, and we were like knee deep into some hardcore drama, and we could not turn away. But Colin was like, I'm hungry, man. I'm going to go make a hot dog. He's like, you want a cheddar wurst? And I was, because we get like the cheddar wurst kind, the hot dogs that have cheese in them. And
That's my favorite kind.
that's my favorite kind too. It's superior. Uh,
Facts.
anyway, so he turns on the air fryer, and the air fryer kind of sounds like my electric kettle, like when it's running and like
Yeah.
the bubbling water. So it's like on, and I hear it, and I was like, tell me you did not put the hot dogs in my electric kettle. He's like, what are you talking about? Isn't that what we have it for? I was like, I do want wiener water in my in my electric kettle. And he was like,
No, I need to clean out wiener water. Oh wait, you might know.
you. Oh man. Anyway, so he was totally just joshing me, and it was the air fryer. But for like a hot minute, I really thought that I was gonna have to figure out how to get wiener water out of my electric kettle.
Don't ask Monica.
Like, how would you get wiener water? The only thing I could think of is vinegar. Man, I was panicked. Anyway, so that's something I remembered that happened recently.
I need to know what season of so I love Survivor. I watched it as a little kid, stopped because I like became a teenager and only watched Gossip Girl. Started back up recently, and let me tell you, the beginning, very first episodes,
Mm-hmm.
seasons, I cannot watch. They are awful. I'm like, why are we only casting very skinny, very tiny women? And we're like, clearly you casted them just to be eye candy, quote unquote. And like, it's just so annoying. Like, and then they hire guys that just like fawn after them, and it's always like this love thing. And I'm like, I cannot watch this. It's so grossly like sexist, and I just can't handle watching this. So I'm glad you're starting in 2010 because they got a lot better. Like, finally they cast real people. But then if you were to start at like the newest episodes, newest seasons, they're prime because
Yeah,
they
that's.
switched it up so much more. So I'm glad you started at 2010.
I have a person that off in my office that she has been a Survivor fan like the whole time it's been a thing. So like all 47,000 seasons that they have. She knows everything about it. She's obsessed with it. And so I told her that I was watching, and she was like, "Oh, I remember, blah, 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 blah." So it's actually kind of nice that I have somebody at work to talk to about it because she said the same thing that the last few years they've made a few changes that have just made it so um, much more competitive or something that it makes it better. I don't know what they've done obviously
Oh
because
yeah.
I started in 2010, but the one I watched was where they put the old people versus the young people. Have you watched
Is
that
that the
one?
one with you know, I gotta look it up. What are the names? I need to know the names of the
Uh,
main people right now.
oh well, I already finished that season, so
Oh, who was the winner?
the
It
winner
was from
was
2010.
yeah. It you would have still been at home watching Gossip Girl.
Yeah. So I'm just saying for people, I'm like, there's no spoiler,
Oh,
guys.
uh,
This
this was
was
it
12 years ago.
almost 13 years ago. Uh,
Yeah.
it 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 was Jed or AKA Fabio.
AKA Fabio. I don't remember
Yeah, like
watching
everybody
this
on the
one.
show called him Fabio, but his name was Jed. He was like
Well then.
it, the thing is he was actually like my age. Like he's my age now, or like we were born in the same year. Or well, he's like 2 years older than me. Um, so it was just interesting to think about. Like he was like a 20-year-old kid that or 21-year-old kid that won $1 million. And I was like, that guy was 21 at the same time I was 19. Like, what would I have done with $1 million at 19? I don't even know.
Well, really, half a million. Well, 600,000 the taxes. But still, yeah, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money
That's
for a 19 year
I
old. I could never even.
I probably would have blown it on stupid stuff and then regretted it in my 30s.
Yeah, probably. No, knowing
My
19-year-old Sasha.
Oh, absolutely. You know what I thought of the other day that I wanted to talk to you about? Okay,
Yeah.
I have before I you know what? Forget it. My really quick favorite season of Survivor, just for you to know, is the one that is geeks versus beauty versus bronze, or bronze, brain, and beauty. Sorry, they
Okay.
use the word geeks. I'm not calling them geeks, just so you know. That's how they describe themselves. Anyways,
I don't think geeks
bronze,
is a negative
brains,
term
beauty.
from my
I don't.
perspective.
I don't as well, but I don't want people to think that I think it is because they were my favorite one, obviously. I
Hmm.
mean, that was the team I was rooting for. Anyways, so that's season 28. That's my
Season
favorite season.
28. I'm going to write it
Yep.
down.
It's my favorite. I've watched it twice, as lame as that is. Like, I haven't even watched all of them, but I watched that one twice because it is just, it's phenomenal. It is epic. Anyways, okay. So I have been telling this story. You know what, guys? I'm going to put it out there as my own because it's cooler when I told it as my own story. So, guys, I lied just a little bit, just a little bit. And I don't care. So here's the truth. Do you remember that time that you picked up Jack Johnson? Oh my
What?
gosh, you're silent. You told me the story. You
I
okay?
don't
So
think this
in
was me. I think
Hawaii,
this was Carly.
no, this was 100% you because you had the car. You were my only friend with a car. So in Hawaii,
I
it is perfectly normal and part of like the island culture to hitchhike.
yes.
Um, Even though you shouldn't,
I mean, it's
guys.
not really
If
unsafe. One time I went hitchhiking and someone just gave us their car.
yes, I mean yeah, I don't want yeah. It was definitely something that you did. I sorry, mom. I can feel her heart dropping in anxiety. I can hear her hanging up, ending this episode, calling me like, Sasha May, do not tell me you hitchhiked.
So
Anyway,
sorry. We did it, and we did a lot sketchier things, Sasha's mom. So don't worry about the hitchhiking. Is all I have to say.
I survived. But okay, so Charlie had a car, so she was extra cool,
I
and because
don't.
no one else had a car. And I remember she was, we were going somewhere, I don't remember where, but she was telling us about like hitchhiking and how she picked up a hitchhiker once and how it was a guy. And then she was like, "Man, he looks so familiar. He looks so familiar. It's killing me. I must have seen him at school." And then she was like, and then I realized I picked up Jack Johnson.
This was 100% not me. I'm so sorry to break this
Who is this? Are you
cool
sure?
image that
I'm
you
like,
have of me in my brain, but I do remember I saw him at the grocery store one time.
dang. I was so, guys,
I
I
let
think more than
people
once.
borrow
I
my
felt, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I let people borrow my car all the time. So somebody could have been borrowing my car.
I was so convinced it was you in my memory. Like I could see, man, I'm kind of bummed because I told that story because I was like, yeah, it happened to my friend. And then in the story, I'd be like, I was with her when it happened. Guys, it wasn't. Sorry, I was trying to be cool. I wanted in my youth, I really wanted you guys to like me. I wanted to be liked. Okay, I'm over it now. I don't do that anymore. A lot.
We accept you,
Just kidding.
Sasha. Um,
Just so
maybe I did tell you that story in my youth, but I don't typically tell untrue stories because I have enough wild and crazy real stories to not do that.
I mean, same. I think that one was just more like it was just a cool story to tell because it happened to like you and just being like instead of like, oh yeah, my friend told me, it just made it like a little bit more interest. I don't know, like the excitement of it of when you told me it was.
Now
Anyways,
I'm like, did that happen to me? There's so many things that happened in a way that I do not remember.
I remember I'm gonna put okay, but the story of the car, we were listening to Banana Pancakes. I remember that in your car, and
Yeah,
that
I
story
did
being
have a
told.
CD with banana pancakes on it.
I remember. Okay,
Maybe
another
there was some.
story
Maybe we were in my car with someone else, and someone else said that.
that could have absolutely happened. Absolutely happened
So
because
you
I'm
weren't
not.
lying. You did tell, like your friend did, because I just don't know which friend it was. But now I'm like, it. I don't know my brain, man.
It's okay. It's okay. It happens to me too. Do you remember? I'm gonna put you on blast. I hope you don't mind. If you don't like
Okay.
it, we can edit this out. I remember this story that I think about a lot too. I'll, Charlie told us. Oh, I almost don't want to ruin it because I almost want you to tell it because the lead up is so good of this time that you made out with this guy and you
Okay. Yeah.
really liked it. Okay.
I knew you were going to talk about this because as soon as you were like, I'm not going to put you on blast, I was like, oh
You're like, I
no,
know.
I know what this is. Okay. Okay. Here
Share
we
it. You
go.
tell it so good.
All right.
Of all the
Keith.
things we've done together, this story has stuck with me. Like I can't remember any of the activities, but this has stuck in my brain.
Okay. All right. So once upon a time. Okay. So let's clarify some background. Um, okay. So once upon a time when I was young and in college with Sasha, we were probably, let's say I was like 20 years old-ish. I have a sister that went to college with me, and she's 2 years older than me, and she graduated a year before me. And so she and I hung around in the same friend groups. And so the sister that I have, we have this like relationship where, oh my gosh, I still have not told her this. She's going to listen to this podcast. This just dawned upon me. I still have not told her this after all of this time. Oh, it just occurred to me that this is the way that Victoria's going to find out about this.
But wait,
Uh,
we don't
okay, whatever.
have the same story.
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right. So, my sister and I had this relationship where I always considered her to be the prettier sister, and so she would typically end up with guys that I had a crush on. And so I met this one guy along like very early in my college, like career where we like would hang out, or I was dating his roommate, and so like when I would hang out with the guy that I was dating, I would hang out with that guy too, and so we got to know each other like on a friend level. And then my sister also became friends with him like around the same time, but separately, and then we ended up realizing that we were friends with the same person, so we all started hanging out in the same friend circle.
Um, in the story, when she told me this, she spent a lot more time describing the beauty of this man. Like,
Yeah.
like in the way that I remember it, he was just the
So
most just
Sasha,
handsome.
uh,
Like
I
just a dime.
he was he's all right. I rank him like a, I don't know, like a 7, 8, and I was like a
Out of
4 or
7 and 8,
5. Yeah.
out of 4 and 5. Seems like two
No.
tens to me.
No, Sasha, it gets worse because when like not that long ago I saw him at Walmart.
Okay, okay, finish the story because I need to know the Walmart story. Oh my gosh, was he
Okay.
ugly? Oh wait, no, I shouldn't say that. No, I don't care.
Um, all right. Anyway, so I all right. So my sister and I have this dynamic backstory. She's at school with me. We have the same friend group. Once upon a time, we I had a crush on this guy, and we were driving back from Honolulu, and it was late at night, and so I was just like leaned over across the backseat of the car, and my sister was driving. There was a car full of people, and so there was like a person in the middle, and then he was sitting on the other side, and I was like leaned over across all the people, like just trying to like take a nap. And he started holding my hand. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And so because I have this dynamic with my sister, I didn't want it, we had like issues like this come up in the past. I was like, we're grown-ups now. We have to do the grown-up thing and tell her that this happened, because she's also friends with him, and she had expressed in the past that she thought he was cute. And so, but at the time she was dating someone else. So I was like, okay, well, it shouldn't be a big deal because she's dating this other guy, and I'll just tell her that that happened and we were all together. So I told her it happened, and then my sister goes and tells the guy that I was telling her that I was in love with him, and why would she hold my hand, or why would he hold my hand, because blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this happened like the next day after I told her. I was like, why would you do that? All I was trying to do is like be the grown up here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I learned a lesson that I should not tell my sister anything if anything happens with this guy. So then
Unless it's 12 years later.
on a
In a
podcast.
podcast where she listens to everyone else and finds out.
Okay. So uh something did happen. Something did happen later on with that person, and I did not tell my sister because I had learned my lesson not to tell my sister. And so we had this like secret uh relationship that lasted for several months. And then my sister, it's her graduation and she's about to leave, because we all went to school in Hawaii. I don't know if we told that, but like when you go to school in Hawaii,
Mhm.
when you leave, like you're not coming back. You're never going to see anybody, basically. Not really,
Yeah.
but like that's how you feel when you're in that moment. And so my sister's about to graduate, and me and my sister are friends with Sasha. And so we're all sitting in Sasha's room, and Sasha had just like come back from some trip or something, and she had a magazine. And I have this like memory seared in my mind of me just like looking at this magazine so intently to hide my face, because my sister, who was dating someone else at the time of her graduation, comes into Sasha's room, and she's like, Sasha, I have to tell you something. And Sasha's like, what? Sasha does not know about the secret relationship. Nobody knows about the secret relationship because I did not want to make it a thing until my sister was gone. And so Sasha, uh, Victoria and Sasha and me are sitting, and I think Carly was there too, was she not?
I would probably guarantee I never went anywhere without Carly.
Yeah, so me, Carly, Victoria, and Sasha are all in Sasha's room, and I'm looking at this magazine, and Victoria comes in. She's like, "I really need to tell you guys something." And I was like, "Oh gosh!" And so she comes in. She's like, "I am in love with this man, the man that I was in a secret relationship with." She's like, "I need to tell him. Should I tell him that I'm in love with him?" And I'm just like sitting there behind this magazine, like, "Oh my gosh." What do I do? Because no one in the room knows about this except for me. And I just like have nothing. I can't say anything. I'm just like looking at this magazine, hiding my face. And Sasha's like, you should tell him.
Oh yeah, like you should definitely tell him
You're about
right
to leave.
now. I was like, let me follow you. I'm like, we should all go for support. I can almost like I don't remember specifically what I said, but if I could put my 20-year-old brain, 18-year-old brain on, I was probably like hyping her up too.
Yeah, you certainly were. And
I was like, "You're
so
a babe. Why wouldn't he say it back?" Uh,
and so
I
I just like did everything I could to just like not say what I was trying to like I was screaming on the inside and like yeah I don't think that's a good idea. You're leaving the island in like a week. What good is this going to do? Like let's be real here. She's like, "Oh, you're right." And I don't believe that she ended up telling him because after she graduated and she left, I went on a date with that guy and I was like, okay, so now we need to like, now that she's gone, I think it's okay if we like make this a thing. And we had like a conversation about it. And I was like, I think we need to either make this a thing or I should not talk to you anymore because my sister's in love with you. He's like, no, she's not. And I was like, yeah, I kind of know that she is. And he's like, she's not. And then our whole relationship just got super awkward after that. And I tried to avoid him, but then we were the only remaining people of our friend group that didn't graduate, and so we kind of were, and we were in the same major, so we were kind of forced to be buddies, like just like platonic friends because like we were put in that situation. But then um he moved to the same place that I live in Utah or lived in Utah at like the same region. And so I ran into him at a restaurant one time and I just like put my head down and didn't say anything. But then I ran into him at Walmart and he has a son and I was like,
did he look
oh,
better or
hi.
worse?
He looked exactly
That's
the
the
same.
that's the worst. That's
Yeah.
the worst. You're like at least look terrible.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, whatever. It's totally done. Like there was no after everything was awkward and weird after that. I was like, nope, we're moving on. This isn't a thing anymore.
Another memory just came flooding back, and I like a piece of okay. So picture this: Charlie is telling me and Carly the story, and me and Carly are like Dory and the little baby sea turtles when Marlin's gonna tell them a story, and they're like, "Oh, cuddle in," and then Dory's like, "This is gonna be good," like no way, like they are just totally yes. So that was me and Carly while listening to the story, and we are just
I
shocked when we hear this.
I did
And
choose to tell them after my sister left. And
after,
I
and then
still
she's
to
like,
this day have not told my sister. So I don't think we could tell her about this podcast.
"Sounds good." But no, it
It's
gets better. No, because then
Victoria,
she tells
listen to the, Victoria, if you listen to this and this is how you find out about this,
I don't think she'll
apologies.
care.
It's 12 years later. Nah, it's probably time you found out.
He has a
Anyway.
son. Yeah. Um, it gets better because then she tells us, she's like, oh, wait, I have another great story to tell you. And me and Carly are just like, our brains are about to explode with excitement. Like, we're like, okay, tell us that. I'm ready. And then this is the story I thought you were telling. I forgot about that story until you
Oh
told me.
no. There was
I
another
was
one.
talking about when you started making out with this guy and at someone's friend's house, something about a couch. I don't remember, but basically the end of the story was that he did not have a home. And you had made out with someone who did not have a home. And you were just like, this is my dating life.
That is actually not the last time that happened to me. I actually dated a hobo, but he was really hot.
That I think that's the story I'm talking about because I remember you saying that he was
No,
like
this
insanely
happened. This
hot.
happened when I lived in Utah.
Oh my
He was
gosh.
insanely hot, though. I am a sucker for insanely hot homeless people. I don't.
Yeah, you like it was like the whole like the ending was a whole thing because you're like, yeah, like he's so hot. You know, I really wanted to hang out, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm gonna head home or something, and you just like walk in the
Oh
backyard.
yeah! Oh my gosh! Yes, totally. I remember exactly what you're talking about. No, this guy, I was not making out with him. He was giving me a back rub, and he was trying to date me.
uh, that's what it was.
But then, and I did not want to date him because I knew that he was homeless because we picked him up on the side of the road. But he was hot.
Okay, see, I converged those two stories because they were told at the same time. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think this is the same thing that happened with the Jack Johnson thing.
Yeah, I think I converged a couple stories because they happened at the same time and my brain just pieced them together as one.
Yeah, yeah. That totally escaped my brain.
I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, okay. That so yeah, that's a story that I have remembered for the last 12 years incorrectly.
yeah.
But at least I
Well,
got pieces of it. But
we got to the bottom of it. That's what matters.
I'll still think about it for the next 12 years.
Yeah, that's fine. Uh, uh, no, the other guy that I dated in Utah, he, I was paying all of his bills, and I was like 21 years old, and he was like 27 years old, and he like refused to have a job. He refused to do anything. And I was like, "What are you doing with your life, sir?" And but he looked like he was like super ripped, Polynesian, huge, like size of a refrigerator. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this man." But I did not love this man. I just loved the way he looked. Anyway, he ended up like, I remember he fat shamed me one time, and he like saw a picture up on my wall, and he was like, "I really would rather be with that girl." And I was like, "I would really rather be with someone who wasn't homeless." And so then I just ghosted him, because which was really easy to do because he didn't have a phone. So I just like stopped picking him up. Anyway.
Okay, I'm glad that I'm like, Charlie, why are you with this guy? And then you're like, that's enough. No longer gonna pick you up.
Yeah. Um So basically, I have a winner for a husband, and there's no explanation how I got there because I have a bad picker, obviously. Um, but he was like, my husband now was literally a captain of the football team, like popular guy in high school, like beautiful man, and I have no idea how me, dater of the homeless, ended up with him.
I know, you're amazing. Duh. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, problem solved. Call me Sherlock.
Oh yeah, basically. Anyway,
Um, I never really seriously dated. Just because while we're talking about dating, I want to talk about my
yes,
dating
I
because
think this is a
this
perfect
is. I feel like this
transition
is like
from me
my.
being roasted.
I okay in high school and before my mission, I never got asked on a date. I dated one person in that time. That was it. Never got asked on a date. No one
That's
asked me on a date.
unfortunate.
It was right in the peak of the 00, super skinny, blonde, beauty
Yeah, like Paris
standardization.
Hilton.
Yes, that was the peak. It was peak Paris. And I am not Paris. And I was
Mm-mm.
not Paris. So no one asked me out, which is totally fine. They're missed out, obviously. So then after my mission, obviously time had gone by. I don't know what it is, but man, I had peaked and it was awesome. Because I didn't seriously date because I knew right away that they were, I wouldn't say trash, but they just weren't the one. But I liked the free stuff, like the dinners and the gifts. So I just kind of dragged them along. Oh my gosh, I had this roommate, Sasha. Sasha, I hope you're listening to this. Like, I hope you're supporting me and you love me and you're listening to this right now because okay, I loved her. She was amazing. Her name was Sasha. She was the best. And she started a Snapchat series
Oh
of all of
no.
the guys that I would bring back to the apartment and what they would bring me. So I actually think I took a screenshot and I saved it on something like from back in college because I like stumbled upon it a long time ago and I was like, oh yeah. So she took a snapshot of this guy bringing me dinner before I went to work because I said I was hungry. And then after work, she took a snapshot of a guy at the apartment to watch The Bachelor with us. And then the next day, she took a snapshot of another guy coming to, I don't remember what it was. I think it was like something to fix him. I don't remember. But like she took them back to back. She's like, Sasha's a PIMP, like in her Snapchat story.
Oh no.
So yeah, that was my dating. If you took me on a date in that time, I just wanted your free food and gifts. So
Oh
I'm
no.
not even mad about it because you guys were not the best. You deserved it. Like if you were good, then I wouldn't have done that. But you guys were trash. Like this one guy, he like told me that he had never experienced any real hardships or trials because he was God's favorite.
Oh
So
gosh.
God didn't want to have make him have a hard life. And you know what I immediately said to him? I was like, or he just knows how weak and pathetic you are and he can't handle it. Legit.
Yes.
He
Good
immediately he
job.
immediately responded with that and he's like, or that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm over here like just wounded with trials and tribulations. And I'm like, you're trying to say I'm not God's favorite? No. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. I was like, you're garbage, but I'm gonna take your money while you're here.
Can we just like we you know what we need to do? We need to do a whole series on what it's like to date as a young Mormon
Oh my gosh.
because
I
people it's a extremely uh, what how do what is a good word to describe this?
Man, there was a show that like kind of described it a little bit. That was like, you get married pretty quickly. Oh, I think it was
Yeah.
like a podcast. I don't remember.
So people get married really quickly and there is like a extreme pressure on you as a young person to get married as soon as possible to any person you can. Hence I was dating homeless people.
And Utah is inbred. I mean, we all know
Yeah.
it. So don't get mad, Utah, because I heard about your little story at church when you pull up your family history ancestry app and you see who you're related to in your little app. You guys' trees linked up, and a lot of you were all linked up. It was
Mhm.
really funny, actually. So I'm
Well,
like, we all know, but they're beautiful. That's the thing, is
yes.
like Utah is insanely beautiful people. Like
Mhm.
the most beautiful people. I live there.
Every person in my husband's family is blonde and has a tiny dog.
Yeah, that's Utah. Like, and here's the thing: like, they all, in my experience, they're dating as a brown Native woman. Um, they all want blondes. The blondes want blondes. Like
Mm-hmm.
they, as in women and men, like they just want blondes. Which nothing wrong with a preference. I understand that. It just makes dating for me in particular in that state a little difficult and a lot of crazier stories.
Yes. I cannot imagine being a person of color and dating in Utah. That sounds like a literal nightmare. How did you end up with Cooper?
He's from Florida, so and he was only there for like 6 weeks. Cooper is like he's so freaking stubborn. It's so annoying, but also worked in my favor, kind of, in his favor. Like his grandparents, I don't care if I put him on blast because I never met them. He doesn't talk to them. His grandparents told him when he was a young kid to never date anyone of color because that means
Oh.
they're impure. And so you need to make
Oh.
sure that you marry. And so, of course, Cooper
I
marries me.
literally just like threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see why I've never met them and why he doesn't have them in his life. That's just one
Mm-hmm.
of the many examples. So Cooper just being stubborn is like, oh, okay, I'm stubborn. Watch this. And then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's it. But I mean, yeah, so that's pretty much what it was. Plus, I'm just beautiful. So he
Yes,
couldn't resist.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you are a
Um,
PAMP.
oh, thank you. I think I just like, after that, like, just exuded this I don't care kind of a thing. Like, I don't care if you like me. I think you're all trash, so I really don't care. And I think that the I don't care just made it that much more. This
Mm-hmm.
one guy, he was really sweet, so I kind of feel bad telling this story. I was not interested in him a whole lot, but it was clear that he was interested in me, and so I still wanted to be friends, but I wanted to kind of like set that boundary. And so he asked me to take me out for Valentine's Day, and I said no because I wanted to set that boundary. And he still came and like wanted to visit. I'm like, that's fine. He's like, I'm even bringing a friend, so you don't have to worry. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He brought a friend, so it wasn't like
This
that.
never ends the way you want it to.
Oh, it ended it very nicely. I
Oh.
found $200 in my wallet that he snuck in there as a Valentine's Day gift.
Um, is this prostitution? Did
I
you
didn't
were
kiss
you
him
an
or
ex
anything. We didn't.
were you
No,
an
I didn't go
escort?
on a date. I don't know. I didn't even know. All of a sudden, I went to go pay for my subway, and I was like, "Where did this money come from?" It's $200. I was
I
like,
think you were an
"Sweet."
escort.
Oh wait, so Cooper sent me $2,000 before we got married. We weren't even dating before he even moved to Utah, but it was to buy him a car. But I was like,
Oh,
of all the people in the world, yeah, he like sent it to go buy him one, so he had a car while in Utah,
yeah.
and so that's why. But I'm like, I mean, I could just empty out my checking and then just ghost you if I wanted to, but I didn't, obviously.
Good thing you're an honest person.
I know. I try to act tough, but I'm not. Guys, it's all fake. I'm all talk, 100%. I'm all talk. If you hear me say something just outrageous, you're like, that girl's crazy, I don't actually mean it.
Except for the
All
wiener
talk.
thing.
Except I know I will do that when it comes to the people I love. I will legitimately do that. I cannot. I will not. But anyways, funny story really quick. Just to like give the view of Utah dating. I went on this one date with this guy and he asked me to marry him that day, first date. It
No.
was like a Tinder matchup, so I
Immediate
didn't even
no.
know him beforehand. I was in his car when this happened. I stopped going in people's car after this date, and I wasn't near my apartment, so I didn't know what to do. So I said yes, so that way he wouldn't kidnap me or something, because I was still in this car. And then he started planning our life. He was like, great, like you can move here, you can meet my family, come over tomorrow for dinner. I was like, yeah, great, please take me home right now,
What
please. As soon as I
happened
got home,
later?
oh, I blocked him. I got home, immediately blocked him on everything. Immediately on
Oh,
everything. Because I
someone
was
is
not
going to
like,
therapy
I
because of you, Sasha.
go to therapy because of him. You don't ask someone you met 1 hour ago to marry you in their car where they have no escape.
Yeah, but you also don't ghost that person or say yes.
I was scared if I said
You
no, he wouldn't take me home.
You say no, and then you go and call your roommate Sasha and have your roommate come pick you up.
I was too scared. I was scared. I didn't
Yeah.
know. I was in his car.
I never went. I tried not to go in other people's cars when we were back on mainland. Hawaii,
Yeah.
it's different, but it, on mainland, no, don't get in other people's cars unless you kind of know them. But like when I first started dating my husband, he we met on the internet, and so my roommates thought that he was a murderer, and I have several stories about this. But when we first started dating, we just wanted to spend all the time together that we could. So we would plan
That's
these
so
dates that would
sweet.
be like we would go to dinner and then we would go bowling and then we would go laser tagging and then we would go for we just just to spend as much time as possible together. And so one time we had gone bowling and then we went laser tagging and then we went for a walk and then we went for a drive and then we went stargazing and then we were making out in his car and
I
we were
love
in the
this
middle
story.
we were in the middle of the desert like on the side of the road and all of a sudden we see police lights behind us and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I really don't want to talk to the police right now. I don't like police officers. I don't like authority. It makes me nervous. Plus, I didn't have a shirt on, so
Oh my gosh.
I, I had to like figure that so uh, Colton gets out of the car and goes and starts talking. He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." And so he goes and starts talking to the police officer, and I could tell that it's like really tense out there. So I'm like scrambling, trying to figure everything out. And then I'm like, I gotta go talk to this guy, otherwise it's gonna look real bad. So I get out there and I I go by a different name than I have on my driver's license. And so my husband had just met me. So he didn't know that. And so when I got out, the officer was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, hi. Uh, he's like, "I need to see your identification." So I like handed my identification and he called me by the name on my identification. And Colton goes, "What?" He's like, "How old are you?" And I was like, I'm 22. And he's like, he goes to Colton, "How old are you?" I'm 24. And he's like, "Well," I was like, we're just out here stargazing, but then it got really cold, so we went in the car and we're just hanging out." And he's like, "Well," so it turns out he thought that I was being human trafficked because there was a lot of, I guess, human trafficking in that area at that time. And he thought that I was like 16 and that I was being like taken against my will. And it turns out that before I got out of the car, Colton had like, it was cold outside. So he had like put his hands in his pockets. And the guy was like, "Get your hands out of your pockets," and like unclipped his gun. Like it was intense. Um, anyway, so then we got off and he's like, "You guys need to go not be here anymore." So we're like, "Okay." So then we go back. We were in his car and I had left my car at the bowling alley where our date started. So we went to the bowling alley, but it's like 2 in the morning, so no one else is there except for this like extremely modified Escalade with like lights on the bottom and like um a type of car that you would expect someone who has a lot of cash to have. I'm inferring a potential drug dealer is what it looked like in the parking lot. And
At 2
so
a.m. Yeah.
so we get in the parking lot and they're like, "Hey, come over here." They definitely thought that they were supposed to be meeting us to do a drug
Oh
deal.
no.
Like, and I don't know this man. So he's like, I don't know Colton still. He's still like sketchy internet dude, but I know him more than I know the man in the parking lot that is trying to sell me drugs.
Is this
So
your first date or like what date
it's
number
like,
is this?
I think number two.
Oh my goodness, it's like fresh.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
I like lean, no, it gets better. So I lean over to him and I'm like, I don't know that man. Do you know that man? He says, no. I said, I don't feel safe, but I also don't want you to know where I live yet. So could you just follow me to that stoplight and make sure that they don't follow me? And Colton leans over and he goes, don't worry, I've got a baseball bat in the trunk. I'll take care of you. And I was like, um, also
What does that
concerning,
mean?
but less concerning than the man that I feel like is going to follow me to my house and kill me. Um, so I just get in my car and I go to the stoplight and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is my life? Anyway, so that was date number two. I have several more stories from the beginning of our dating that are like that. That why are we still together? We should have got the hint, but we are still together, and it he is like it live him being my husband is the best idea ever, and I'm so grateful for him every day.
That's so sweet. I love
He
that.
should have left me like in the beginning. I was it was yeah. The third date, let me tell you about the third date. Can I tell you about that?
Oh, of course, I'm ready.
Okay. So the third date, we decided to go to Bryce Canyon National Park, which Bryce Canyon National Park is at like 8,000 feet elevation. And I did not live at elevation at that time. So,
Wait,
and
what
I
state is
really,
this?
it's in Utah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So at the time I lived at lower elevation. I'm really sensitive to pressure changes and elevation, I've learned in my life. But so we are hiking in Bryce Canyon, and when you hike at elevation, you have less access to oxygen because the air is thinner. So you could get something called elevation sickness, which makes you a little bit loopy, and it could be really dangerous. And for me, it manifested as my hands turning purple, and I was terrified, but also I was with a man I barely knew. And so, and I was probably a little unhinged at that time. So we're hiking at elevation, and I start to get elevation sickness, and I look down and I see my hands are purple, and I just like freak out. I'm like, I don't know this man. I'm like screaming it as we're hiking to and every person walking by. It's like, I don't know this man. He's out here trying to murder me. I don't know where we are.
No one helped you?
No one else. They just looked at him and was like, what? He's like, don't worry about it. And so we're just like hiking. I'm like screaming because I was so scared. And honestly, I do not know why he continued to date me after that, but he did. Anyway, so I we got down from elevation. I stopped hiking, and we were okay. And he still loves me to this day somehow.
Could you bring a little spice and excitement? That
he,
that oh man, I was talking to one of my friends. I don't want to say should I was talking to one of my friends and we were talking about how our husbands like to wind us up sometimes. And I know
mm-hmm.
Cooper does. And he gets that he likes to say something like a TV show or he'll be like, yeah, I heard someone, was saying something mean about Meghan Markle. Like he'll have more specific things. Like those are like my trigger. I love Meghan Markle.
Oh yeah, why wouldn't I make my hot dog in the electric
Yes.
kettle?
Why wouldn't I do it? Isn't that what you're supposed to do it? Yeah, it's exactly what he does. But Cooper, like, I get so wound up with that kind of stuff. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? And I get all that, and he just like winds me up and watches me go
Oh no, you
because
froze.
he
Oh.
is. I'm gonna say it. He's like, I just love. I get so turned on. He's like, I love it. I love it, and I'm just like, you're sick. But it also works because that's very much my personality. I get like wound up about things, which is why I say I'm all talk because I will just like wind up and just say everything I'm feeling, and so it works out great. So that's what I'm saying. Like he loves it. He loves it. He probably looks at you and he's like, I freaking love this.
Maybe so. I think because Colton is also very shy. So when I was screaming, I just met this man on the internet. He was probably just like, I'm so shy right now. I don't even know what to say.
Have you seen that tweet where it was like, why is it always the quiet guys are with the loud crazy girls? And that guy responds and he's like, because I ordered mashed potatoes, not French fries, and someone's got to tell the waitress or the waiter.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not gonna
basically.
be
He's like
me.
he's so shy and doesn't talk at social functions very unless like I'm there to like set the tone and like be the first person to break the ice and stuff. So it's actually really helpful for him to like have me be around and just like m- make things more awkward for everyone else so that he doesn't feel so awkward. That's how it feels to me. I don't know from my perspective. But he always says, you could talk, so I didn't have to.
I love that. Is I'm pretty sure Cooper has said that to me once or twice,
Yeah.
probably,
Did we
but
marry the same person?
probably.
They're both blonde, aren't they? Cooper has blonde hair,
Cooper
right?
was blonde as a child, and then it's
Mm.
darkened up. But he's like just like the classic. I don't know. Like he's like, yeah. I don't know. I think he's. I don't want to say basic because he's not, because he married me, which makes him not basic. Basic would have been marrying the opposite of me. He's
Hmm.
like basic with a spice.
Basically
You know, like he likes
spice.
football, likes baseball, blue eyes, you know,
Hmm. Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah.
Nothing like quiet.
You know, it's funny because we both were like, we're not blonde, like standard of beauty, like regular standard of beauty people, but we ended up with like regular standard
Standard
of
of beauty.
beauty
Yeah,
people.
exactly. That is exactly how I'm trying to describe him. He's like that, the epitome of that. Like, oh man, this could be too. I don't care, guys. I don't care. I'm gonna say it. When that man, he never walks around without clothes on, and I hate it so much. He's always wearing clothes. It's so annoying because we live in Florida. It's so annoying. So when he doesn't, it's actually kind of nice because you know when you have like a lot of something, you get used to it over time. I feel like,
Hmm.
you know. So when he does not have a shirt on, which is not very often, I'm just like, oh my gosh, look at that. There's a V on your stomach. How did you get that? And I just like stare at me. He's like, stop looking at me like a piece of meat. And I'm like, don't care. You're my piece of meat. Wiener water. So yeah, that's it.
I and I feel the same way. Like I can being with Colton is like I don't know. Maybe it's like too braggy or whatever, but like he really is like the best person ever. And I'm not just saying that because like my dating pool was homeless people. He he is like 100% a catch. Like I have no idea um, how me screaming on a hike and being telling everybody that he's a murderer. There were many signs he probably should have left, but I'm very grateful he's still here. 10 years later, almost.
That's amazing. I think my husband's annoying. Some days I'm like, I don't want to spend any time with you. Like you're really annoying. So
Oh
I'm glad that
no.
we have a different perspective of someone because I made this like TikTok where I was saying like I made a friend and how I was like I want to hang out with. I think I talked about last episode like I want to hang out with my own husband and kids. And some people are like my husband is my best friend, and I was like gross. So you bring the best friend husband love perspective, and I'm just like this guy's annoying. And
Unless he has a shirt off.
then it's all gone. So I don't know, good and bad. That's just what it is. I think that just is what happens when you marry someone like me who just says what I mean and I get wound up, you know?
Hmm.
And then of course like a stubborn old classic man. Yeah.
Old classic, man.
Just it's like on the healthier version of that stereotypical couple on like TV shows where they're like fighting and they're like, I hate you, and all of a sudden they're making out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Okay.
like us, but less toxic, like very
Yeah,
mild version of that.
yeah.
So
Opposites attract. They say that.
that they do. So I'm glad that we can have both perspective in case
Hmm.
anyone's like me who's just is like, my husband breathes wrong, and I'm like, oh, do you have to breathe
Oh,
like that?
believe me. And Colton is sick right now, and he has a cough. And I have mesophonia. Do you know what mesophonia is?
I don't.
Mesophonia is like something that is where wires get crossed in your brain, so that when you hear certain sounds, it like activates the murder reflex, like the part of your brain that is like fight or flight, and it like comes for fight. So
Wow.
like when people are making like mouth chewing sounds is my biggest one, and then like chip bag sounds, and then I think that Colton has coughed enough that it's like starting to get borderline. Like when he makes the coughing sound, I'm like, hold me back. Like the my sister has it too. Another one of my sisters, not the other one that I'm not going to tell
Not
about this
Victoria.
podcast. Another one of my sisters, she has it too, and she is like the epitome of like uh the princess from Enchanted, where she's like, I'm so angry right now. Like she's like so like that is how she is all the time, and it's just like a part of who she is as a person. She's just like so happy all the time, and like not when she experiences negative emotions, it even comes out happy. And so even she's like, I'm sorry, like to her children, she'll be like, you can't do that right now. Like, and then she will, if you ask her about it, she'll be like, no, I really am upset. I'm gonna like hurt that person. I'm like, yeah, I know how it feels. Anyway, it's a real thing.
That's,
Look it up, mesophonia.
I think it's amazing that you literally want to kill your husband because he's coughing.
Really though,
Literally. I
it's
mean, his
bad.
liver condition is not funny, but I think it's, people are just like, oh my gosh, I could kill him, but
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
no,
It
really,
no,
stop.
it's actually fairly common. Like, and people just think, oh, it just makes me upset or whatever. But it's real, like neurological disorder where your brain gets crossed, and you really do want to kill a person. So it's real. But like, I mean, I've lived with it my whole life, so I just get used to like managing it. So, but it still is not great whenever I hear certain sounds.
That honestly explains so much as to why you're such a patient person.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess
okay,
that's
we talked
true.
about it just like really quick. We talked about it in the episode that we're going to release later. Charlie worked at this youth, what was it, a youth rehab,
Residential treatment center.
a residential treatment center for like a decade, correct?
Yeah.
And the turnover rate is 6 months, and she was there for a decade, and obviously incredibly patient. And I have known
Well,
that about her. Yeah.
I guess it's just one of those things that you get used to, and it benefits you in certain ways. So I guess that probably is one of the things. I never looked at it that way before. That I it contributes to the my patience, which yeah, I do actually have a lot of patience.
You're the yin to my yang. I have no patience.
Yes, yes, I know.
Okay, we have to hang up, but I have to tell a story really quick.
Okay,
Yesterday, I
go.
went out to like a vintage store with a friend, and she's very much like, okay, apparently I gravitate to people just like you in my friendships. Like my closest friends are the same attributes: extremely patient, very kind, softer spoken. Obviously, they have no problem speaking their mind when they would like to speak their mind, but general, their what's this? What I'm trying to say? Their
Baseline.
level baseline. Thank you. Their baseline is calm and stable.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll take a lot more to get them up, but they can. Anyways, so That's what I apparently gravitate to, is what I'm noticing. She is very much like that. And we were at this thrifting store or whatever, and these two guys like cornered us, but they didn't intentionally corner us. Like I was looking at something, and then there was nowhere to go because there was furniture all around us, and I couldn't move. And then another guy came. They were like, he's like, "Oh, is this? Are they with you? Is this your wife?" He's like, "No, they could be my daughters." No, no, no. And I, first of all, can I say I'm feeling like I'm trapped by a man? Second of all, do not like them talking about me in front of me as if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
there. And then
Yeah.
of course about looks. Like I just hated that, but I also didn't want to embarrass my friend that I was with because I know she doesn't like those kind of situations. Because it took everything in me not to shove. This man was 90 years old, and the other man
Oh
was probably in
no.
his 50s. I'm like, he is fragile, or else I would have shoved him. So I sat there, and I'm like, I would have done this already. I would have just pushed by him because I asked nicely. I was like, oh, I want to get by, and they didn't move. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
only going to ask you once. I'm not going to ask you twice. So I'm like, I'm going to wait until she says something. But if she doesn't say something, then I'm going to go. That lasted 30 more seconds. It felt like 2 hours. And then I was like, I need to get by and just like shoulder through them because I cannot
Mm-hmm.
stand people that trap me. And apparently she was very grateful that I did that because she was also said that she was uncomfortable. She's like, I could not wait to get out of there. And I was like, oh, okay. I waited much longer than I wanted for your benefit, but next time I know. Just be me, Sasha. That's why people like you. Just be you.
Yes, this is what we need. We need to get out of here right now.
Yes. She was like, I just didn't want to. I was like, I don't care. I'll make them mad. I was like, I'll shove them out of the way. Don't corner me and make me feel like I can't move. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. So,
Yeah. Anyway, well, um,
anyways,
I I think that's a pretty good spot to maybe pause on for now
yeah.
because we're at a pretty good stopping point time wise. Um,
Mm.
always keeping yourself and shoving old people out of the way. Not really. That is a joke, not a joke. Just a always keeping yourself, Sasha. We love you.
Intentional rest.
Intentional
Intentional rest.
rest.
Enjoy your spa.
Yes, yes, yes. We need to we let's make goals to have intentional rest, which I'm about to go leave to go to my massage later today. So that will be my
Take
intentional
pics
rest.
because we
Yes,
want to
yes,
see.
for sure. Yes, I
All
will.
right.
I'll show you
I
guys.
love you.
As long as it's not like weird and I'm taking pictures of like sometimes it's weird to take pictures in spas, so I don't want to overcommit. But anyway, okay. I never know how to
We'll
end
get
these
that.
things,
Yeah.
but love you, bye.
Oh, I got it. I love you.
Oh,
Talk to you next week.
okay, bye.